Okay, so it's time to cut open our jackfruit. I first oil my knife with coconut oil or olive oil. Because jackfruits can have latex inside, it can actually damage your blade. And I do recommend covering your countertop with newspaper or something just to protect it from the latex. Also, with your clothing choices, you may want to wear something that you're not super fond of. As I was cutting into this jackfruit, there wasn't a whole lot of latex at all, so it was actually easier to cut through, and it is a very mature jackfruit. Now you'll kind of see here as we open it up, there are these pockets of orange, which is the jackfruit, and around it is a white fiber, and inside each jackfruit is a seed. Now these seeds are edible just as the fiber is. Usually the fiber is used from young jackfruit, and that is to make like a vegan pulled pork from it. It's an excellent substitute for meat, but the fruit itself, when the jackfruit is mature, tastes just like juicy fruit gum, and I do believe that is where juicy fruit gum got their flavor, was originally from jackfruit. So if you enjoy that flavor, you'll probably really enjoy eating jackfruit. So it is a little bit of a labor of love to open it up, and I'm sure there's other ways that are easier to open it, but I just did it section by section. Now with the seeds, today we're going to be planting them up. However, you can also eat them, so you can boil them and then peel them and utilize them like you would a potato. And they're quite delicious. So once we've gathered all of our seeds, we're going to place them into a bag with moistened peat moss, and we'll leave them to sit for 1 month on a heat register until we're ready to plant. Okay, so here we are, ready to plant up our jackfruit seeds. My soil mix is perlite sand and peat moss that has already been pre-moistened, and in the bag are my jackfruit seeds that have been on heat for the last month, sitting in moist peat moss. It doesn't take them too long to actually start to sprout, and quite a few of them have put on some really nice roots. So you can already see some of them here as I take it out. Really good root system on them. So only a month and they're looking very healthy. So what we're going to do is go through the bag. I'll be taking out all of the ones that have put on some really nice roots. Anything that hasn't rooted yet, I'll keep inside the bag and keep on my floor heater for a couple more weeks. And if they root up, I'll plant them. And if they don't, then we will just put them in the bin. So when it comes to planting them, all I do is make a hole that's the right depth and width to easily fit in the root, and then I just backfill all around the root with the soil. So we're just going to keep going ahead as we pull them out, making our holes, placing our jackfruits in. These are put in quite close together, but they will only be growing this way until they produce stems, and then I'm going to carefully come through, take them out, and put them into separate pots. So one of the keys with jackfruit when you are starting to grow them is they do like a very humid place to grow, which is why I kept them in a sealed bag. It kept the humidity and the warmth as I laid them on my floor heater, and they do really well in this circumstance. So in the container that I'm going to be growing them, there is also a dome that'll go on top, and I keep that dome on until they do start to produce stems, and then we'll remove it. So at this point, I'm going to let you guys sit and watch the same process I do for all of them, and we're going to fill up the tray. And then when we're done, you want to make sure you give it plenty of water, as you would any other planting, and then we will put the heat dome on. So the one thing to keep in mind when you are watering in jackfruits, because they are more of a subtropical to tropical fruit, I don't water with cold water. I make sure that the water is slightly warmed in the tap, not hot, but just warmer. And this way it's not too much of a shock to the seedlings. And once we have completely watered them in, then we will place the heat dome on top and push it as close to a south-facing window as you can, or if you have grow lights, place them over top of your jackfruit seedlings and you can use that artificial light to help grow them on. Now, the one thing I find very helpful with growing jackfruits is humidity. Just like you saw, the seeds were planted first in a bag that was sealed. Now we're going to add in our heating dome. And with this one here, it does have 2 vents on the top. I end up closing those and then just placing it, like I was mentioning, by a south-facing window. And once they start sprouting and growing stems, at that point we can then remove the dome. Wanted to show you an update of our jackfruits that we are growing from seed. We have some interesting developments here. So if you can kind of tell, this one jackfruit has split open and we have a new little shoot popping out. So that's really great news. And a few of our other ones here, you can see green. As we scroll over, we've got a few more with new shoots. And these guys here. Things are happening and it's exciting. So we'll keep the lid on for now and we'll wait and see what happens in yet another few days to a week. Okay, so here we are a few days later and a few more of them have started to open up and sprout. And as you can see, the sprouts look so good and healthy. They're maybe only just half an inch to an inch tall, but you can see the beautiful color on them. And we're gonna give it another week. All right, so here we are just over a week later, and quite a few more of them have sprouted up and are also probably a good 2 inches high. So we're getting a lot of nice new development here. The seeds are looking really good and healthy. So it's been another week, and I thought now is a good time to start potting them up. I'm sure the roots are developing really quickly and I want to give them the best opportunity to grow strong, healthy roots. So we're going to fill up our pots with my potting mix. Here's the tray of all of our jackfruits, and we're going to go ahead and start planting them up. I have a dibber and a little scooper that I'm going to use. The dibber is one that in the trays you can see here, I'm just making a large enough well inside that can accommodate the root system. And with the other tool, I'm going to use to gently coax around the roots and to gently pull it up without breaking any of the roots. And once we've done that, we'll just go ahead and gently place it into the hole, pressing lightly around. And then just take your time with this. You want to make sure that you're being very gentle if you plant this way. But of course, if you just planted 1 seed per pot before it started rooting, then you would be fine just to continue on transplanting. I always transplant using the same soil mix, which is the sand, perlite, and peat moss. And this ensures really healthy growth. But as you're planting on, top dress with some form of compost to help fertilize. So it's been 10 days since we've planted them into these larger pots, and in those 10 days they've put on some really significant growth. We have some nice new leaves and a second set of leaves coming in for a few of them. So we're going to allow these little jackfruits to keep growing on in these pots until they're too big, and then we'll plant them on into 1-gallon pots. But as we go through here, we're going to show you just how these jackfruits are doing and how quickly they grow. Every few days you end up seeing a lot more of the new leaf growth, and the development of the size of the leaves. So once these guys have roots coming out the bottom, only then will I put them into their 1-gallon containers. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We have a lot of new videos coming up in the future, especially now that spring has started. And of course, if you like this video, give it a like and share with your friends. So until next time, no matter what you grow, I hope you grow what you love. Bye!